Hello there, good morning and welcome to the Friday edition of VOP This Morning on Voice of the People Television. I am Chukwuma Okoro, and on the show this morning we are going to look at Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway Project, a pure malice against a businessman. That's coming from Omoyele Sowore, presidential candidate of the AAC in the 2023 general election. Now, Omoyele Sowore was in our studio yesterday where he granted us an exclusive interview, and in the course of the interview, he said something about the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway and the way it was destroyed, that it was a pure malice against a businessman. He went further to say that, oh well, they didn't want to give him a particular piece of land, and that that portion, that place that was demolished, was as a result of some kind of ethnic whatever. Oh well, that he's an Igbo man, and that's why they didn't give him that piece of land. Oh, well, that's one of the stories that we are going to talk about today. I'm not alone in the studio.
All right, I'm Fina Okechukwu. Welcome to Friday's edition of VOP This Morning. Today is also the 10th day in the month of January. Quite interesting. The month is jumping. It's not just moving slowly the way some people expected it to be. Also on our radar this morning, Yoruba, Igbo, others should go their separate ways since Nigeria isn't working as a country. And this is coming from Sunday Igboho. Do recall that a whole lot of persons have been, agitating. Some people want to have a Yoruba nation. Some are also calling for an end in the marginalization that the Southeasterners face in the country, which also have been there since, after the war, civil war and all that. But now that Sunday Igboho is making this statement, he made this statement saying that insecurity is one of the things that Nigeria can't stop, and since they cannot handle it, it's better everyone go their separate ways. He said that that might be a way forward for Nigeria. Anyway, just be part of the show, get glued to the screen because we'll be dissecting this and many more, during the course of the program.
All right, talking about many more conversations, we'll be delving into a few other issues that are not exactly on our radar, but Nigerians are talking about them. So these are trending issues. We'll talk about them in the course of the program. Now, before I reel out these issues, do know that you can be part of the conversation by joining us on YouTube, where we're streaming live. Of course, subscribe, click on the subscription button, be part of the program right here. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and on all the social media platforms, Twitter, X.com, Instagram, and the rest. Threads as well. We are at VOP TV Live. And also, there is a number scrolling on your screen with which you can send us videos, 1-minute videos. You can also send WhatsApp messages via that number, and we will take your messages in the course of the program. All right. I am Moses Humphrey. Now, let's dive into it. The federal government has said that Nigeria will work with China in domesticating production of military equipment to avoid the unnecessary delays in relying on foreign countries. Now, on its part, the Chinese government expressed delight over Nigeria's plan to float Panda Bond in China through its currency swap policy. Now, these were disclosed yesterday, Thursday, during a joint press briefing between Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, and his Chinese counterpart, Wang Yi, at the presidential villa in Abuja. Now, China's Minister of Foreign Affairs was on an official visit to Nigeria. And on foreign interference, Tuga said private military companies, no matter where they are coming from, are not the solution to tackling the country's security challenges. But there was also the conversation around currency swap, Nigeria-China currency swap. Well, it was a great meeting, I must say. China and Nigeria. China talked about how much they have supported Nigeria, supporting Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala for a second term at the World Trade Organization. But this China-Nigeria relationship, some Nigerians have said, look, it seems to benefit China a lot more than it benefits Nigeria. Trade has become seamless, but because we do a lot more of imports, so Nigeria tends to import more than we export. So we are bringing in things, most of them from China, and that seems to. So, in my opinion, I think it's tilted to one side. The benefits of this relationship seems tilted. more in favor of China than in Nigeria. Well, they have said they will support Nigeria joining BRICS and, you know, a few other things. Well, let's see how this one plays out. In the course of time, Nigeria will appraise this relationship. I believe Nigerians should appraise this relationship and see how much of it truly benefits Nigerians. Well, when you talk about construction, we know that there has been some sort of, you know, construction, railway construction via this relationship. Well, yes, I think Nigeria should do more in that regard and see how well we can develop more railway lines across states in Nigeria, as that in itself would facilitate movement. Governors were talking about airports the other day, and in my opinion, rather than put an airport in almost every state, why not just make railway, you know, cut across train stations, railway across states in Nigeria? That in itself will facilitate, especially when it comes to moving heavy containers across from one state to another. Oh well, Chukwuma.
Well, Moses, you have spoken quite a lot, and when you talked about our balance of the trade being tilted in favor of China, or what do you expect? That is what it's going to be. We are a consumption nation. We don't produce; they produce. You know, so but it's countries work to balance their trade. You know, and how do they do that? By trying to industrialize. You know, most times I get worried when I realize that Nigeria, Africa wants always to tie their strengths, you know, to developed countries. That is not how development spread to other parts of the world. Europe, Britain was the first place to be industrialized, you know. France people didn't wait for UK to do that for them. They learned. China learned, Japan learned. Why can't we learn? I'll give you an instance why we are not learning and how we are not learning. They're talking about military cooperation, domesticating our arms production, you know, with Chinese companies. That is a question of security for me, national security. If we have to bring Chinese people to come and help us, you know, build our military infrastructure, it's concerning to me and a lot of people. Away from that, in 1964, Nigeria established the Defense Industrial Corporation of Nigeria, DICON. That was in 1964. And what was their core mandate? To produce light arms and ammunition and all of that. 5 years after, Brazil opened Embraer, you know, fashioned along the DICON. That's how many years now? July last year, to be precise, Embraer produced the 6,000th, that is passenger aviation, passenger airplane, you know, to other parts of, they are number 3. If you leave Boeing, you leave Airbus. Embraer, I think, is the number 1, is number 3 now. They have also diversified into agricultural aviation. They have diversified into drones. We buy drones. We come to the public and say, oh, we have bought drones. We're going to use it to target insurgents and all of that. That isn't the way to travel, if you ask me. You have, unfortunately, Moses, do you know what happens? Nigerians have the best brains. We have Nigerians working in NASA.
I was about
NASA in the United States of America. In terms of software development, in terms of anything that you have to talk about technology, you find Nigerians in all, their footprints in all parts of the world. So why can't we harness the talents of Nigerians, doing well, doing good, profoundly wonderful, you know, in other parts of the world? It's a problem of leadership. It's a problem of leadership. It is indeed. So the Foreign Affairs Minister, I'm not sure we are going to clap hands for you for doing this. People will have to go back home, you know, go back to the drawing board. What is it that we are not doing well? We need to do better than this. We have the capabilities.
Oh, yes.
More than enough capacity for us to do it. You know, when you talked about Nigeria being the brains or having better brains, you know, that can fit in most of the positions worldwide, you know, it reminds me of how Nigerian youths. There was a video of one little boy who created or who manufactured an airplane in Nigeria that you can you know, use a toy plane, but it has all the components in it. And then if you go to somewhere in Anambra State, I think the Oka axis, they also have men there, blacksmiths there, who also run the weapon thing and all that. Now, why don't Nigerian government think of looking inward, you know, to harness all these brains that we have and make sure that we can use them or utilize the opportunity they have also for them to turn this country into a production state? Now, my own interest is about this unification or maybe using
Naira swap.
Naira swap to yen. It's not the first time it's coming up on the table. I could recall then when they were making so much noise about how you can go to China and buy things, goods in Naira and all that, and how yen should be using in Nigeria, and how some Chinese schools have started to teach their children some Nigerian languages. And people were hoping that this is going to work, because if you check it out, you find out that the Chinese market is where most Nigerians are, if I'm to use that word, importing the already finished goods and all that. We don't have those industries. We cannot do the production here from what the government made it look like, But we didn't see that pull through. And now we're seeing China donating 1 billion yen to Africa. They've pledged to do that.
Okay, what they will give you the yen?
They say China pledges 1 billion, 1 billion yen in military aid for Africa.
The currency swap thing is
just
not
a business transactional.
It's not about to work. It's not going to work.
You think it's not going to work?
No, I think it's working already.
It's working.
It's working.
How
Yes,
is it?
because
How is it working?
as against it takes away the pressure on the dollar.
No, it doesn't.
It does actually.
You know why? Okay, go ahead.
Because when you want to do transactions, since Nigeria does a lot of transactions with China, you buy things in you can with your Naira buy things and then it's converted. As against you having to change to the dollar to purchase things on the international market.
Exactly.
They're going to give you the quotes in dollars.
In dollars. That is it. That is it, But interesting, let's see how that turned out already. Now, moving away from that story, the federal government has confirmed plans to increase telecom's tariff but they also assured Nigerians it won't be by 100% as requested by operators. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijan, made this known at a stakeholders meeting in Abuja on Wednesday. Tijani said that Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, would come up with modalities for tariff adjustments in the telecoms industry. Also, the Chief Executive Officer of the Financial Derivatives, his name is Bismarck Ruwen, has welcomed the proposed tariff hike by telcos, saying the move will help reduce inflation. Ruwen, who previously backed the plans for a tariff hike, said the move will make the sector more sustainable. Interesting. Nigerians are still grappling with some challenges in the country. We have issue of electricity tariff hike. We are yet to work on that too. We have the fuel pump price hike also in Nigeria, even when we turn out to be a member of OPEC. And now telcos are talking about increasing their own tariff too. And when this is being done, I wonder where will Nigerians be? I don't have someone saying that this tariff hike will help curb inflation. I wonder how that is it more like waving a magical wand? Because I wonder how that's going to happen.
Well, it's long coming. It's going to happen regardless, no matter what we think, because electricity, the availability of it is a problem. Now, these telcos are having to provide their own electricity. They have to power electricity where they have masts and everything else. Somebody did say something that he runs two companies. He runs his company and then he runs a power company as well because of how much he puts into energy. So it's just a matter of time before this will trickle down to the end user. And that's what we are seeing. Yes, it will not be 100%. That was a kite flown by the operators. It's just a way to bargain. I'm sure they just said, okay, it was going to be 100%. The minister, Bosun Tijani, has come and said, oh, no, it's not going to be 100%. But of course, there will be an increase. Now, how this will impact on the earning power of Nigerians, not good, most definitely, because already what Nigerians spend in data, some of it cannot be tracked. In fact, you cannot track how much you spend in data. You recharge, and then your data zaps out of your phone. And then they tell you, oh, there are applications running on the ground. You need to, but these things should be better regulated. It should be better regulated. It's not just about increasing tariff now. There should be some sort of regulation whereby the Nigerian is not shortchanged. That, I think, is what we should be talking about here, not just an increase in tariff.
And we're not even certain of how many percent increase we're going to get.
I don't care how many.
You know,
I
think they need to tell us how many percent increment we're, you know, expecting so that we can know how to run it.
The thing is, even if they tell you it's 50%,
yeah,
how will you calculate the 50% for a 25 gig data that you want to use in a month that doesn't even last you a month? How will you calculate the 50%, you know, the increment? How you calculate increment in the calls that you make?
The thing about marketing, I like what Moses said. You know, it's not going to be 100%. You know, it could be 95%. If it's 95%, it's not 100%.
It can be 99.9.
It could be 90 because if you go to some shops, they give you discount. You know, if something is $7, they give you discount 6.95. You know, $6.95, and you are very happy. You know, so I like what is happening. I also like the fact that Bismarck Rewane said that, look, okay, that is going to help curb inflation. Very wonderful. It's going to help curb inflation. Moses, now, don't give me that eye now. You know why? Because, look, it is high time Nigerians started cutting their clothes.
According to their coats, according to their clothes.
Their coats,
Nigerians have been doing that already.
No, we have not.
You think we've not?
No, we've not. The president said, you know, quite frankly, that we live in affluence. You know, we should realize that, look, we need to cut costs. And talking about, I mean, somebody was driving 4 Rolls Royces and all of a sudden he's using a Honda Accord and everybody is happy because he's now living within his means. You know, he's not. He's living within his means.
That's poverty.
No. No, if you are poor, you have to realize that you are poor. You know, you don't have to.
He's not living within his means. If within his means he was able to acquire 4 Rolls Royce and now he doesn't have a choice but to go not even using one.
Moses, he reprioritized his life. And that is where he is now.
Because his earnings depleted.
No. His earnings didn't. He sold those things now to fund his lifestyle. So that is where he is now. You know why I'm saying this is because Moses loads a call. You know, he calls his uncle. Uncle, how are you? How is family? What of last night and the other day for last month and 3? It's going, pam. So Nigerians should learn to either use WhatsApp calls, which is a data consuming app anyway, or you use text messages. That is the way to live in Nigeria. Make sacrifices as much as you can, even if you have to. You were talking to your wife like 5, 6, 7 times a day, like my friend does. Cut it down to like text 2 or 3 times.
Is it any cheaper?
It is not cheaper.
I think it's about
4 naira
right
for
now.
How many words?
But
it's about 4 naira. You
can say a lot with text messages.
You cannot. How many words? 450.
Well, the bottom line is that we need to cut costs. That is what the government, that is what leadership is asking us to do now.
Okay.
And by the way, this is talk about increase or what. Like Moses said, they are just responding to market forces. You know, electricity, cost of salary increase, cost of other things and all. Everything is going up. So you don't expect that in the midst of all this that call rates will drop. Certainly, it will not drop. But what we are asking for is, like, let it be like, okay, 20%, 25 incrementally, not that much 100%. I think it's going to eat very deep into the already declining purchasing power of the average Nigerian. Oh, well, we'll go for a short break now. And when we come back, we'll take a review of major headlines of the newspapers. Please stay with us and don't go away.
All right, thanks for joining us again. It's still VOP this morning. Now let's get into the papers. Let's look at the headlines now. It's newspaper headlines, and then at 9 o'clock we'll be doing newspaper review. So we'd like for you to join us again then. But in the meantime, going straight into the dailies now, we have the Punch newspaper, the Vanguard, the Daily Times, the Guardian as well, and a few other dailies that we'll touch on this morning. So, but I start off with the Guardian newspaper right here. The banner headline here says, Pediatric nutrition, health concerns over affordability, safety, quality of infant meals. Major concern there. All right, and then there is a pictorial there that speaks to that as well. Insecurity. Afenifere alerts Southwest governors as experts tackle FG on terrorism funding. Lagos lowers FAC expectations, targets 2.3 trillion naira IGR. Northern groups seek reopening of land borders. And then we have Senate erupts as Edu seeks executive session on fuel subsidy proceeds. Budget falls 2025 budget demands breakdown of TET fund, NJC allocations. Court summons minister, AGF over expatriate levy implementation. Now, these are the headlines on the cover page of The Guardian newspaper.
On the cover page of the Daily Independent newspaper this morning, the banner headline there reads, Security challenges. Hiring foreign mercenaries not an option. That is coming from FG. Right as to that bold headline, to work with China in domesticating production of military equipment. Tinubu urged China to increase $2 billion currency swap deal with Nigeria. China backs Nigeria expanding currency swap line, issuing Panda bonds. And the window headlines on the cover page of the Daily Independent are, No HMVP in Nigeria, we are on alert, commenced testing. That's coming from NCDC. Right after that, HMVP not new. WHO insists, advises against travel bans. Solu signs 3.36 trillion naira 2025 appropriation bill into law. Raidat says budget will build on past gains, scale up impact for future. Lagos Internal Revenue Service has crossed 1 trillion naira IGR. That's coming from the State Assembly. All right, and we have the pictorial of the governor of Lagos State, during the bill, appropriation bill presentation and all that. Then besides that, Obibolo accuses suspended LG chairman of squandering over 83 billion naira. The story proper is on page 29 of the Daily Independent. Take battle to bandits, terrorist camps. Tinubu urges Nigerian army. I will take that again for clarity purposes. Take battle to bandits, terrorist camps. Tinubu charges Nigerian army. Mba signs land use regulation executive order creating new urban areas. Influx of bandits. Afenifere urged Southwest governors to prioritize security. 2025 budget defense. Finance minister panics as Senate probes the revenue from subsidy cut. 2025 budget defense. Finance minister panics as Senate probes revenue from subsidy cut. And the bottom strip headline on the Daily Independent newspaper this morning, cargo demands declined in Africa by 0.7% in November, climbs worldwide. The story is on page 6 of the Daily Independent newspaper.
Now, let's quickly touch on the first news newspaper with the banner headline. Southwest on edge. Afenifere sounds alarm over rising bandit movement. Oh, well, beside the nameplate, we have Sunday Igboho. If Nigeria isn't working, let's go our separate ways. Now, the window headlines. Over 1,000 households displaced in fresh Benue attacks. That's coming from Governor Alia, the Benue State Governor. China urges Nigeria to issue panda bonds for infrastructure growth. Tension as Amewule-led Rivers Assembly overrides Fubara's veto on key bills. I'll take that again for emphasis. Tension as Amewule-led Rivers Assembly overrides Fubara's veto on key bills. Budget highlights concerns over 2025 budget omissions, irregularities. There's a picture there at the ADC to the President, Nuruddin Yusuf, being decorated with his new rank of Colonel. Oh, well, congratulations to Nuruddin Yusuf, the ADC to our President. Beside that, you have court freezes $225.8 million linked to Undoka or Baibana over loan dispute. Fubara presents staff of office to Asare Dokubo as traditional ruler. Well, the game is getting tougher. Nigeria, okay, we have the bottom strip headline. Nigeria ready to tackle potential HMPV outbreak. That's coming from the federal government. And that's all from First News newspaper.
On the cover page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, the banner headline there reads, "Many killed as gunmen attack Katsina village. Rider, 2 policemen died in Boko Haram strike." And then we have Just White Beneath the masthead, Adun Bagudu grilled as Senate opens 2025 budget defense. Addresses bandits influx, Afenifere urged Southwest governors. Nathan Groups demands VAT reduction to 3%. And then we have other headlines to be Nigeria seeks increased currency swap deal with China. Expatriate tax regime court summons Fagemi Tunji Ojo. Attacks 1,000 Benue household displaced in 1 week. And that's coming from Governor Hyacinth earlier. And the bottom strip headline reads, Insecurity, FG rules out foreign mercenaries. Those are the headlines you'll find on the cover page of the Daily Trust newspaper. And that's how far we can go, looking at the cover page of the National Daily this morning. Do well to join Chukuma and Moses for the newspaper review proper. That'll be on top of the hour, 9 a.m. here on Voice of the People TV. And we'll go on a quick break. And when we come back, we'll be moving straight into the first topic of conversation. And that is how FG displaces 4,000 workers after landmark beach demolition. And that's coming from CEO Landmark as he laments. And this was exposed by Shawore, who was also, he granted an interview, exclusive one on Voice of the People yesterday. And that was how we got to know about how 4,000 workers were displaced. Just do well to be part of the show. After this break, we'll look into that. Stay with us.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills 3 things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people. Are you ready to connect with distinguished Nigerians around the world? The Diaspora Perspective is here to share the views of Nigerians in the diaspora on burning issues.
From the street of New York, the royal cities of London, and the bustling cities of Europe, Voice of the People Television brings to you a roundtable and collage of interesting views from Nigerians in diaspora.
Join the host of the show and some Nigerians in diaspora, Dr. Damages, the flagship, Show, and KJ, as they discuss the experiences, challenges, and triumphs of Nigerians living abroad.
Discussing and analyzing everything from politics, culture, policies, career success, and how Nigerians are staying connected to their roots. Showing every Saturday by 2 p.m. West African Time and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
The Diaspora Perspective, giving a voice to Nigerians abroad.
All right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, if you're joining us, this is VOP This Morning on Voice of the People Television. Now, into the major topic of discussion, Paul Onwunibe, CEO of Landmark Africa, has broken his silence on the controversial demolition of the renowned Landmark Beach in Lagos, detailing the devastating impact on his company and thousands of employees in an interview with journalists. The demolition, which occurred within 7 days' notice, wiped out what Onwunibe describes as his life's work and resulted in losses exceeding $30 million. The beachfront property, purchased in 2006 for $17 million, had grown to become West Africa's premier tourist destination, attracting 4.5 million visitors annually and employing over 4,000 people. To date, Onwunibe reports that no compensation has been offered, and more troubling, there was no direct communication from authorities. Also, the former presidential candidate of the African Action Congress, AAC, Omoyele Sowore, has described the situation surrounding Landmark as a major ethnic malice between the federal government and a certain Igbo businessman, who is the owner and CEO of Landmark Beach Resorts, Paul Onwunibe. Now, Sowore, who spoke on Thursday during an exclusive interview on VOP TV, said the Lagos state government had always before now been having issues with the owner of Landmark over the expansion of his business around that area, claiming that it was meant for water corporation. He alleged that the government had said they will never allow an Igbo man expand in that place. So the reason why the quick execution of the demolition never wasted time in being carried out. Oh, well, that's huge and quite scary. Oh, we are joined in the studio by Barrister Asim Adam. Barrister Asim Adam is a socio-political commentator and analyst. We also have Mr. Dele Fanimo. Mr. Fanimo is a seasoned reporter and VOP in-house analyst. We'll also be getting feeds from our outstation. Specifically, we have Comrade Enabulele in our Benin studio who joins in this conversation. Gentlemen, welcome to this show this morning.
Good morning.
Barrister Asim.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Happy
morning.
New Year. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Happy New Year.
All right.
Wonderful.
Comrade Enabulele, good morning to you. Okay, not in. All right. Okay, we also have Chuka Adewale joining us from our Abuja office. Good morning to you, Chuka. Because of the show. Mr. Fanimo, let me come to you. Sowore was here yesterday, and even before he said it, Paul Onwunibe had cried out that, look, he was not informed. He was given just 7 days' notice before the demolition of Landmark Beach Resort. But Sowore made certain allegations yesterday that, look, that the federal government and the Lagos state government purposely pulled down that facility because it's owned by an Igbo man. He said there was, Onwunibe said he's not been compensated. Sowore said a lot about it. Now, can we get a video of that interview? There's some clips of it where Sowore said a lot about what happened in Landmark. Can we get a video of that interview, please?
There are people who didn't have a cocoa farm, who became billionaires, private jet owners. And we know how they're making their money legally, they are not corrupt. We will say it and say it with total conviction.
All right.
And we can defend it anywhere.
All right, so let's speak to the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. There were accusations by the owner of Landmark, for instance, that he was not given adequate information before the demolition and he hasn't been compensated a dime since then till now. And then the road, as the construction as we speak, is about abandoned because it's in court. The SDP presidential candidate, Doherty, governorship candidate by Funsho Doherty took the federal government to court on that issue. It's in court. What do you think? How do you think this case is eventually going to end?
No, let me tell you. Before they brought the Calabar
Coastal
Lagos Highway they've had issue with the landmark owner.
Oh, wow. Why?
Yes. Because he's been trying to expand there. And he wanted a piece of land between where he does conference and a hotel.
Okay.
They claim it was owned by the Lagos State Water Corporation. So they will never give him. Because they have always said it. And this
All right, then we seem to be having an audio challenge with that footage. Well, Moyele Show did say quite a lot, and you heard part of it. And like what I said before, you know, there's this allegation that he made about an Igbo man being a victim of circumstances because the federal government, the Lagos state government, didn't want to give him that property. But let's even look at how many people have been displaced out of work there. What's your reaction about the whole issue, the allegation, considering the fact also that well, after the demolition of that property, they had to reroute that road to the actual place it was supposed to go to?
Well, let me start by telling you that I was not really too happy about the demolition. Not because of the ethnic profiling that is put into it. Because for me, I don't like going through that route. But the fact that somebody has invested so much and he got this property through legal means, and the fact that it's going to promote tourism, they should have considered trying to reroute that road and ensuring that that place is secured. Because it's like a gateway, and the enormous investment that this man has put into it, already he had a vision of what he wants to do with that thing. And it's not going to just benefit him alone or his family. You're talking of about 4,000 employments. And apart from that, that's just the direct employment we're talking about. What about ancillary employment? A lot of people will move in there, they provide food, they provide shelter, and if that place blooms, it becomes a tourist destination. I tell you that there are some countries in Africa, particularly a country like Gambia, they don't have anything other than tourism. And that country is surviving mainly on tourism. And somebody has come along the beach line to get something that fantastic. Even if you have to do that construction, there is a way you can do it to avoid encroaching into that investment. And the multiplier effect, we're talking about unemployment in Nigeria. If somebody just on a singular investment is taking off 4,000 people off the street, it's huge. And that's just the direct one and not even the indirect one.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your thoughts there. Barrister Asim Adams. Now, I want to take it from the legal point of view. Now, the revelation made here says, and we've also heard this before, that the notice for demolition was quite short. It was 7 days. What does the law say about such notices that would involve demolishing a property? How long should it be ordinarily?
Thank you very much. Notices that the law is talking about is adequate notice. And the courts have described what adequate notice is to be what a reasonable man we see as adequate notice. For instance, you cannot give me 7 days notice for me to pull down my building, take my properties elsewhere where I don't even know where to relocate to. I've not made arrangements, to take my things, my personal properties, my children, and resettle them. So if you give me 7 days notice, even if the law says you give me 7 days, you should know that within that 7 days, I cannot do anything that is reasonable. So that is why they say the reasonability of notice is very important. and narrowing it down and periscoping the landmark issue. I am very, very happy that also that the owner himself, if you go back to the interview he granted one of these print media, he said he was given 7 days notice, but he wants to be very objective and also be very truthful and frank that even though he was given 7 days notice, nothing happened till about 3 months after that 7 days notice. It was in the interview, I read it. That is the situation. That is the first thing. So the notice that should be given is the one that the reasonable man, even if the law says it's 7 days, you can issue the 7 days notice, but you cannot pull down that structure within 7 days and you begin to ask the person to relocate. You have to give some time. Now, the issues that are involved here is that this is where emotions and sentiments has come in contact and clashes again with the law. You see, what does the law say on this? Because Nigeria operates a constitutional democracy, and there are safety valves, guarantees, if rights of citizens are breached. Now, under Section 43 of your Constitution, 1999, says that you have the right, I have the right to acquire movable and immovable properties in any part of the country. So I can buy land in Kano anywhere, buy my cars and drive and go around. Then you now go to Section 44. Section 44 is not telling you that, yes, even though you have the right to buy immovable and movable properties, as the case may be, that if the government has a need for a property I bought for $1 billion, and they wake up in the morning and say they have a need for it for public use, public use, that the government has the right to acquire. But if the government acquires that my 1 billion naira property, that the government has to pay me compensation. And that is the area I see things working. If Nigeria were to be a country where we obey and execute laws the way it should be, I will be very happy when government comes to say, want to put my property down. I do my valuation. I bought it 1 billion, and you have to pay me 10 billion, naira, or maybe $10 billion. I make some gains, then you give me time to relocate. But here we don't. I don't think the law, in its face value, is being operated in that way. But it's smoothly couched that if you demolish, you have the right to take over the property, yes, but you have to pay me compensation.
Okay.
Now
talking about compensation.
Yes.
Here. Leye said something yesterday. He said there were no records of that transaction within the archives of the Lagos State government.
Okay.
Which means they were probably giving out fake documents to him or documents that were not authentic. Don't you think that is the reason why the government hasn't paid compensation up until
And how possible is it that since 2006, where that particular landmark came into being in Lagos, it has been operating without, a proper documentation?
Well, I can't say those who went to make their investigation and inquiries or whatever know the reason why they had to do that. But let us not burn the cables just the way we see the way ethnic cables, it is, in my own opinion. That is why we have the courts. If the owner of landmark, it should contact some lawyers and approach the court. Section 46 sub 1 of the 1999 Constitution says that if any Nigerian at all, you don't even need for you to wait for that particular right to be breached. If I suspect today that the government wants to demolish my property, they are doing a road along that road and whatever, and I feel that my property will be threatened, people will tell the government come in there to do that. I can run to the courts under Section 46 sub 1 that, look, government is trying to come and, breach my right to own my property. I can go to court and, take an order. Whether the government will obey the orders or injunction of the court, that is another ball game altogether. But let us, in the interest of justice and for those fair play, as the case may be, those who did their investigations, it's left to them the reason and purpose why they did their investigation. I cannot, at this point in time, begin to dismember, the investigative journalism they made. But if that is what they came out with, it's quite unfortunate. And those should form part of you know, the reasons why they have to approach and quickly approach the courts right now. I said this, there was a particular matter I handled in Rivers State. You see, I was part of that particular, a team that handled that matter through the office I belong in Rivers State. It has to do with a sports complex somewhere, part of Rivers State, the Che area. The government of Amechi came and said they want to acquire this place for use as sports stadium or a games village or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, the families came and said, okay, we are ready to cede this to you. Government said per plot is going to be 100,000 naira or whatever the case may be. People said we cannot take 100,000 naira per plot. Some took, but some families said they will not, over there, whatever the case may be, they will take 100,000. They resisted the government, they went to court. And at the end of the day, the government of Amechi could not go there and implement or execute what they wanted to do as at that time till he left government. So these are things I think that they should rush to court instead of coming up. I know they have the right to come to the media and say what they want to say, but for me, I think beneath the labyrinths of all these situations of ethnic whatever the case may be, as you do that, underneath you still go to court and see if the courts will give. And I believe that if you get an injunctive relief from the courts, and you kind of, publicize that, the state government and federal government will be on their toes and save that particular, institution.
All right, Barrister, thank you so much for that analysis. Now, let's move over to our Benin station where we have Comrade Inabulele standing by. Good morning, Comrade. Good to have you join today's conversation. All right, interestingly, we're looking at Paul Onwani Bay's, the owner of Landmark and the demolition of that facility that we know that have been able to get like 4.5 million, visitors annually, and how we have an activist, human rights activist, that granted an exclusive interview here on VOP yesterday, made a certain revelation of how the demolition of that particular landmark turned out to be more like of ethnic malice. Omoyele Sowore said something yesterday. He said the reason behind that demolition, it was more like a targeted attempt on a particular man who is of Igbo extraction. What do you really have to say about this? And why is it that the government, under the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, who decided to demolish landmark for Calabar-Lagos Coastal Highway construction, had to go back again to the original plan after demolition of that facility?
Well, let me again appreciate the management of VOP for giving me yet another opportunity. I will say categorically that Sowore was not far from the truth, because if you look at the actions and inactions surrounding the demolition and the later redesign of the coastal highway, it gets to show that Sowore was not far from the truth. That is the gospel truth. Because if you look at the Nigerian state, it is very unfortunate. Now, I said it yesterday. They need to study China on how they evolved to where they are today. Many businesses, small businesses, I'm a student of international study and diplomacy, masters in history. They encouraged. Nigerian government, now we are grappling with unemployment. Issue of us not having enough to go round. Here you are strangulating and, suffocating businesses in this country. That's just to show that if you see, not ago, you've seen, major companies in this country, they've ported by countries like Ghana and the likes. That's to show that the government of the day, they are not concerned about the average Nigerian people. That is the crux of the matter. If they were to be concerned about the average Nigerian people, they should have taken cognizance of the workforce in that sector. I've visited the beach. So for us as a country, you see, it's not everything is just about law. If true, they said they are following the law. If you look at the acceptance of what you are about to do, and you look at that the negative effect on the society, You have to have a rethink. That's why government is there. It wasn't cast on stone. It's not rigid. So for us as a people, I think this hard time, the Nigerian people, the Nigerian government, those in shadow of leadership, should have a rethink. If you, with this present dispensation, you agree with me that they have successfully eliminated the middlemen from this country. Where you now have the super rich and the super poor. That's exactly what we have.
You made mention of China, and then we know that Nigeria is working very hard to know if we can, have a wonderful relationship with them. We have signed some MOU with them now, and not narrowing it down to China in particular. Looking at that landmark resort and how it was being demolished and the story surrounding it, what does this really portend with this this present administration seeking for, people, foreign direct investment from foreign nations for them to come invest in Nigeria? Do you think that this in any way is going to make them to change their mind, given the fact that even the establishment you have in Nigeria is not that protected, if we're to, told by that line?
Yes, I think, you see, we must situate it properly. The issue of us going cap in hand begging, the issue of us, Nigerian government telling China to scale up the money swap, it's not new. Again, we must look at it. How many Nigerian traders are aware of this currency swap? And they trying to lobby other nations of the world to business with us. Again, the other nations of the world, they try to look at what you are doing with the business already within your country. How are they being favored? What are the environment? Are you suffocating them? What are the policies that you are doing to encourage them? Recently, you hear the banter, the exchange of words between the Nigeria and the Australia government. That goes to show that our image before the international community is not something to write home about. It's not something, and they are not putting effort to see how they can bring to light the image of the Nigerian government and that of the international communities. Vis-a-vis, if you try to compare during the era of Olusegun Obasanjo and the very just now, you agree with me. There is a far cry, and these people they are not concerned. What they are concerned is just for their immediate globetrotting and acquiring properties around the world for their immediate family. That's what they are. So for them, they are not bothered whether the Nigerian people is in having a very seamless relationship with other countries of the world. That is the crux of the matter. You see, what drives economy all over the world? It is the small businesses. That is what drives the economy all over the world. That is what gives you the economic stand to enable you, interact with the international communities. Okay, look, this is what we have done with these small businesses, and we are pleading that you come, that will equally extend same to you, and that we are not doing.
And thanks very much, Comrade Enabulele, for your wonderful insights. Now let's go to Abuja, where we have Chuka Adewale on standby. Good morning to you, Chuka.
Yes.
All right, Chuka, we are discussing landmark, the demolition of Landmark Beach Resort in Lagos. And there's a question that was asked, Comrade Enabulele. I want you to react to that question. What's your take on the fact that, look, over 4,000 jobs were lost, businesses that surround on the fringes of Landmark Resort, like suppliers, adjunct businesses and all of that, everything just came crashing in just one day. And we have a government that has always been on the move, going to China, going to Europe, going to Latin America and all parts of the world, looking for foreign investors. How does that feel, when foreign investors understand that even an indigenous company was not spared in that kind of atrocious demolition? What's your reaction to the fact that, look, we have a government that is looking for foreign investors? Yes, this same government cannot even protect their own in Nigeria. What's your reaction to that?
Mr. Chukwu, in one hand, you might look at a sort of vendetta against this particular person, this particular individual, because from all intents and purposes, you want to ask, why would such okay? Couldn't there have been concessions? That's, I mean, for all intents and purposes, couldn't concessions. That's the, because why would you go to the length of destroying such an investment that has brought in FDI over the years, foreign investment that has brought in tourism to the states, and then it's demolished because of, I don't want to say primordial sentiment, or because of because couldn't there have been alternatives? That's the question. That's the $1 million question I want to ask. And that's how the 4,000 people, 4,000 workers, plus the ones who are not directly, because there are still people who benefit from, indirectly who benefit from just because. And now the painful part is that they've gone back to the original plan. So what happens to the
that now? The fact is this, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway should be, a West African highway, if I'm to say that. It's supposed to run from Senegal to, Nigeria and other parts now. Now, is it that the government of Nigeria is not aware of that initial plan? Or is it that we're having an Igbo problem in Nigeria?
Like I said earlier, it's more looking at personal vendetta, and if you're going to play a tribal line, it's just it looks very possible that this is what's happening. It must be because this man is not. I don't really want to say, I don't really see this happening to a Yoruba man. If this was a Yoruba man, I don't really see such. I mean, they wouldn't consider to show off. But just man is not that part of the country. Who knows? I'm not insinuating and saying that is what it is, but it is looking like it is what it is, So it's sad that in the year 2025, we're still talking about tribal sentiment, because it just looks that way. It looks that way,
Given the fact that the Minister of Work is also an Igbo man, we're talking about Dave Umahi, former governor of Ebonyi State. So how can you say it's more like a vendetta, him attacking his own brother in Nigeria? What do you have to say to that?
What I have to say is politics was involved. It was more of a political vendetta, rather. Let me use that word, political vendetta. Because there's no other explanation to this.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Chuka, for your summation there. Well, let's bring it back to the studio. I would rather not want to fly that ethnic bias. Barrister, let me come back to you now. You said something about the owner of Landmark Beach when I asked the question about the duration, 7 days, but then there was a delay. The demolition did not take place within the 7-day time. But he also said that, look, he was trying to appeal all the while. He was trying to appeal for the original plan to be carried out. The original plan. And then elaborate on this 50 meters to the shoreline, or from the shoreline. Help us understand how that works. And also, let's also make it known that Landmark wasn't the only structure affected in this. There are other structures. We have a football turf. A football turf was affected in this as well. That's the Breeze Beach Club, cabanas, and a few other structures were affected during this demolition. And then it's difficult to ignore the fact that right after these demolitions took place, there was now the return to the original plan. But tell us more about the 50 meters from the shoreline conversation.
Right.
And how that can help in court.
Well, I don't work with town planning and physical authority, but I know that with common sense, if you are building a house, even in my village, there are still things I need to consider first. Are you sure that we don't have a common road that's going to pass through this place, so that I don't put my house very close to the roadside? It is as the case may be, or
of the individual.
No, it's government. It's regulated. Okay. It's regulated by the various Ministry of Fiscal Development town planning and whoever they are. That is the reason why they say if you want to build like this kind of gangetic structure that we have here, you must have contacted the town planning people to tell them that this is your building plan and this is what you want to do. Then they now look at your plan, whether it suits what the government recommendation for that area is. And I believe for him to have built this, I'm sure he must have gotten the approval from the various authorities in Nigeria, in Lagos State or wherever, to continue building up to that particular point in time. Now, you see, properties of this nature, I believe that even what people have said, that maybe government would have considered, the nature of whatever that is there, then because of the economic value and what is giving back to, the economy of Nigeria, maybe they would have, sat with the man and discussed with him and say, okay, is there any possible way we can go around this and even open up this particular business better for people to have access to come in there? But that is how government operates in Nigeria here. It's so funny. I've seen areas where you see some shrines in some villages that dates back to 15th century BC or whatever as they call it. They just want to do a highway. They destroy every other thing there. They don't even care about how long it takes. There was a particular building in River State I saw. I met that building when I came to River State. I made inquiries about it. They said that building is about 100 and something years old. But one of these, construction they were to do, major road, they brought it down. So it's a phenomenon that is negatively impacting in Nigeria here, with government demolitions, etc. They don't take it to, into cognizance, issues of this nature. If you can do environmental impact assessment before you do your road, why don't you do what I call business impact assessment before you now, demolish? That is the recommendation I'm trying to, give to government. So I believe that the government of the day, they have to go back. If they say, well, they can remediate this situation, let them do that. As for the 50 meters, whatever the case may be, if you look at your building here, you took your plan to the Fiscal Planning Authority before you started building. You have to give at least some meters off the road in case government has a need, they want to use that particular place for access road. It can be a median, it can be whatever they want to do. So you must have to give some parameters away from, the main natural causes like waters. So I believe that's the reason why they said 50 meters in and out of the water marks, as the case may be.
All right then. So, Mr. Fanimo now, let's look at perception. Because in the world of advertising, perception is reality. Perception of foreign investors, when it comes to viewing what transpired between some of these businesses, including the landmark beach, how do you think this will impact on those that intend to invest in Nigeria, especially when it comes to tourist attraction?
You recall that I said it in my earlier opening remarks that it's in bad taste. And good enough, it wasn't a landmark alone that was caught up in this kind of
good
issue.
Enough?
I said
good enough?
It was, no, I said it was not landmark.
No, you said good enough. It wasn't just landmark.
I'm saying that because
okay,
it will be located within the precinct of ethnicity.
Okay.
It could be maybe some other ethnic groups or maybe caught up in this. So that's why I said I didn't want initially to go through that route. Now, talking about attracting foreign direct investment through some of these things, honestly, investment in tourism is huge. And it's not something that we can just... I'm sure that man probably would have, and any other person investing in that kind of business would have probably taken loan from maybe Nexim Bank or wherever outside the country, because it's cheaper to get loans from those places once you have a good proposal and they know that it's bankable. Now, the point is, that man may not even recover from that loss. And if somebody sees a Nigerian being treated that way, and somebody is coming to me in America, Canada, China to say, come and do something similar, it is natural for me to feel that, okay, if I do this, am I not likely to suffer the same fate? For instance, during indigenization policy of the Obasanjo government as head of state between 1976 and 79, Muritala started it, and Obasanjo was also part of it. Most companies were forced to relocate. Some were forced to indigenize their businesses. Like ESO was not Nigerian. It was wholesale foreign, and they had to come to, I think, I can't remember the name now, that they had to transmute to, and some other businesses. So at a point when Shagari came, and it was all over the place seeking FDI, the point is, people were not comfortable coming back to Nigeria again because they felt that they could also suffer the same fate. Look at Uganda. Idi Amin, when he was in government, chased out some Lebanese, Israelis and all that out of that country. And I tell you, Uganda didn't get over it in good time. So what we are saying is investments don't come cheap from foreign lands. And the ones that have come, we need to sustain them. So that is the reason why I said whatever it is that would have cost government to reroute that project and save that business and other business along that coastal line should have been done. Regardless of the fact that we are talking about law. Law is made for man, and man is not made for the law. We have seen instances of some roads, you just find yourself in a sharp bend on a long stretch of road. And then when you ask questions, they say, this particular place is sacred. This particular place we cannot demolish. This particular thing, we have to make sure that we save this particular portion. I've seen it happen, even in Lagos here. I've seen it happen in other states. So for me, what I feel beyond legalese should have been done to save that investment for Nigerians' sake. Those who would have been employed there and those who would have had auxiliary services connected to that particular point. Just like, for instance, Dangote today. Dangote may tell you that he has employed 10,000 Nigerians and foreigners. But I can tell you for every 10,000 that is employed directly, you have about 100,000 that are employed indirectly. And this is a place that is supposed to be a gold mine for Nigeria. And we should have taken a cue from this man and replicate some of these things in some other coastal lines so that people can come in. I give you an example. In Gambia, the biggest hotel in Gambia, as of 10 years ago when I visited last, was owned by Ibrahim Mantu, 80-bed hotel, overlooking the beach. From that beach, I stayed in that hotel for about a week. Overlooking that beach, you can travel 15 minutes with a speedboat to cross over to Senegal from Gambia. And most people you find there are whites, Caucasians, and they bring money to that country. So this man would have brought money to this country if that particular investment is saved. Okay. So that's my position on this.
Now, this particular man, Paul Owunibe, has taken his investment to 2 West African countries. He also has an offer to come to Port Harcourt beachfront to site this landmark beach resort, and he's considering all of these places. Does it look like Lagos is becoming very hostile for investors? He's not the only one. Doherty was also affected, former governor candidate in one of these political parties. You know, he's already in court. So does it look like Lagos is becoming hostile?
Lagos cannot be hostile. We have people investing in Lagos all over the place.
I mean, Microsoft left Lagos.
No.
Companies are leaving Lagos too.
No, if you want to say Lagos is choked, that is hemmed, that we don't have, I mean, Lagos don't have enough land.
The people that left were not looking for land.
No, I'm just saying this. But on the premise that Lagos is hostile, I don't want to believe that. Any state would be hostile to investment because it's more money, it's more IGR.
Okay, to that state. No state will be hostile to investment.
That's what, I said no state.
Okay, you said
will be hostile to investment. Okay. No state. And that road is not even Lagos State road.
No,
it's federal government road.
Mr. Fanimo,
if it's owned by Lagos State.
Yeah, it is. But if we're to look deep into what is happening in Lagos, for example, we've had some revered personalities in Lagos coming up to call for, withdrawal of some people and give certain ultimatum to people who are not Lagosians. You must do this if you must stay here, or something like this will happen, or this or that will be the repercussion if you decide not to do it. For example, during the elections, we heard how a particular man who happens to be here in Lagos was saying it verbally in a video recorded that some individuals are not allowed to cast their vote. If you're not voting for a particular person, then you shouldn't be here. And then even traditional rulers have gone ahead to make some statements that, it can be a bit insulting if we're to go by that word, looking at how Nigeria should be as a nation. But in Lagos, it's more like it's not that way. What do you have to say about that too?
You see, for me, anybody can decide to come up and say whatever he has said. It's his opinion. It's his own feeling. But has government carried out some of those things?
You have some social media linked to the government. You have been used to carry out some information and nothing is being done.
Can you show me a particular instance where somebody who is not a state actor made some allusions and government goes ahead to carry out that threat?
And government is renaming streets named after people from certain parts of the country. In Lagos, yes.
Which streets?
In Ladipo.
And what was the name initially and why?
The name was initially... No, but you are not aware of that?
You're not aware of it.
Okay, I'm just telling you. States have been renamed, in parts of Ladipo area and other parts of Lagos State. Originally, local governments authoritatively named these streets after people. You know the procedure of naming streets after people.
Local government has the power to name streets.
And name
they can also rename.
Okay, so does it look like...
For me...
So what would be the reason to rename streets after people, legacies that were planted in those areas, and all of a sudden people are changing them? What does that speak to?
They have named streets in the past based on exigencies. For instance, Ring Road in Ibadan was named after a particular governor, Ladoja.
Okay.
Maybe for whatever reason.
We know reasons why states roads are named after people.
Anybody can wake up and say he wants to rename the street as local government chairman. He has that prerogative. He has that power to do that. And he has to... He may not even have any reason to get back to you to tell you why he's renaming his streets.
So, is that proper? We have a street named after a particular person who played a vital role in opening up that road. All of a sudden, you have a local, and it's not once, twice, and it's random now. Does it speak to something?
Well, you just mentioned one.
I've just told you now.
I've just told you that...
You said you are not aware. I've told you a street in Ladipo.
I can't hold brief.
But I'm asking you, does it look right? Does it?
I can't tell you if it's right or not.
All right then. Thank you very much.
All right, the barrister Asim Adams. Let me come back to you now. Now let's talk about a few things that's been happening. We've seen. I want to focus on tourism. Tourism. Just your perception on this. What is our problem? What is our problem in Nigeria? We've seen the Calabar Festival that happens at the end of the year. A certain governor came into office, Ayade. And then there was a nosedive in participation in that one. The governor there now is trying to revive it, but it's a struggle. But there was a time Brazilians were coming into Nigeria to participate in the carnival in Calabar. We have Eyo Festival in Lagos. There's been a decline in participation as well. We have Agungu Fishing Festival. We have tourist sites like Ikogosi, but we are not looking at utilizing these things. Instead, what we see is Nigerians being displaced from their ancestral lands, allegedly for mining of certain resources taking place. What is our problem in Nigeria? Why aren't we looking at what we have been blessed with? Some will say, let's pray. But please, before we go to prayers, what is our problem? Let's find out what the problem is so we know what to pray about.
The problem is the Nigerian man. See, when people talk about government, I keep asking questions. Whether those who came from the skies to become president or governors of your state. They were human beings who were walking the streets like you and I, who were moving up and down and they eat Nigerian food. See, the Nigerian man has a peculiar problem against relaxation and tourism. How many families do we even have? There are some billionaires in Nigeria here today. They don't even go on holidays. They just move around, go to a village and come back and feel, okay, that is what they are doing. You have your house. Let me give for an example, I say it's in Nigeria, before I answer that question directly. Okay. You want to build your house now. You say, give me 10 bedrooms in a duplex. You don't have access to a swimming pool. You have wide expanse of land. You can't even create a swimming pool for yourself. You don't do things for recreation. Small garden where you relax. You concretize the whole compound. They use Increte. You understand? Because we are not used to that kind of culture. And that is why that Calabar, whatever, when Donald Duke came in and established what they call that, is it Tinapa? Tinapa. And then the Nigerians will say, we won't go there, go begin there. And we understand the point now. Because Nigerians don't have that kind of behavioral attitude for relaxation. That is number one. Number two is this. I am a lawyer and I've been operating with. See, most of the companies I've registered, business names I've registered, revolve around the oil and gas sector. Many Nigerians don't want to go into or diversify their business or whatever because they feel that the only area you can get quick money is through if you have oil and gas. Look at companies I'm telling you, do a survey of new companies emerging in Nigeria today. You find that about 60% or 70% of them revolve around oil and gas. Where you feel that if I have a man in government and I have a company in oil and gas, I can easily get to lift crude oil and do whatever the case may be. The second one that is coming up again is this, they call it this IT, where they call internet, whatever that. These are the things Nigerians are going for. So issues of tourism is not, see.
So it's an issue of making quick money.
Quick money because it goes like you rightly said, it's in a village. There are people who come from that particular place. You have a government there. But the government will tell you when they invest like 1 billion naira there, how do they make their money for them to embezzle? It's not a thriving business empire that can generate immediate money for them to embezzle as case may be. I have 4 years or 8 years at most to be in government. If I establish a tourist center now in my state as a governor, how much am I getting? What is the beneficial to me, first of all, then before the people? But if I establish a filling station or whatever as case maybe oil and gas is involved, immediately I open that place, within the next 10 minutes, I'm making money from my pocket, and I have enough to embezzle, and also maybe do 1 or 2 things. That is the reason. The attitude. How do you think? Look at the Calabar Carnival. Every December, we used to go there. It was a rave of the moment at that time. But even when it was like that, majority of people who were even attending were not even Nigerians, they were foreigners. But we could not sustain it because the governor that came into power after Donald Duke left felt it was not a priority. And see, what is tourism? When you want to go and build a name manufacturing industry, or whatever they call it there, where he will make quick money and all those. You see, he abandoned that beautiful concept that was put in, by the Nigerians have an attitude towards relaxation and tourism. Even in Brazil that we'll go to, you find that many Brazilians book their holidays. They tell you that, when it is November or thereabouts case may be, I have to take a day off or a week off or a month off for my holidays. So when they patronize their beaches, you now find that people from outside the country will begin to join them and patronize too. But when you don't have that attitude, then why will I go and establish a you know, a center. That is why this landmark, whatever, is so painful to me that is being demolished. Like, for instance, I don't even know where it is located. Let me be very frank. Do you understand? So people said it's illegal. I don't even know the area of Lagos is. So that is the attitude of Nigerian people, man. For me, and it's all of us that is collective. So we have to change. We have to change that attitude of get rich quick. Nigerians want a place where they call the honey pot, where money will begin to come in right now. Most of the companies we have today in the Niger Delta where I come from, let me tell you something. Any young Niger Delta man that wants to set up a company today, even though he knows that a tourist company he can use about 100 million to do that, he goes for oil and gas. He does not care about relaxation. Say, who they relax? How much am I going to get from that? So that is the reason why I will carry that attitude to government and governance.
All right.
So this is the problem we have, in my own opinion.
All right, thank you very much, Barrister C. Adams. Let's as we coast home now, let's bring Comrade Destiny and Abulele into this conversation again. Comrade, what should there be incentives given? Should there be separate incentives for those that are into hospitality and tourism as a way of attracting more investors into that area?
Nightmare.
Well,
it is our quest.
Okay.
It's our quest for immediate gratification, which has eaten into the fabrics of our existence as a people and as a nation. You see, we are not futuristic. Our leadership is saddled with the myopic mind that whatever in the lifespan of my tenure, I should be able to read the dividends. This is a culture that over time we have inherited from our society. Go around the streets of our various communities, towns and villages, states. You hear the youths, quote and unquote, they tell you, tomorrow will take care of itself. For them to even learn a trade or a craft or go to school, they will tell you who school help. Because over time, that is culture. We want immediate gratification. We want to sow now and reap now. That is why our politicians, those in saddle of leadership, they've studied us. If you look at what is happening in this country now, at the build up to 2027, just watch. You will understand better what I'm saying now. The issue that we don't relax, I beg to differ. In my state, for instance, Edo State, where I am, virtually there are no streets where you don't have a hotel, a lounge, or an apartment, what they call Airbnb. I tell you, there are no space or spaces in any of these hotel or lounge. Are you not telling me it's ghosts that now occupy?
Sorry, please. I'm just trying to get an understanding. Having a drinking bar, is it the same as having a place for relaxation? Is it the same really, or is that our mindset really? Because we have a lot of drinking spots on every street. Every street we have drinking spots on every street, but how has that helped really? But anyway, I think
it is to ease the tension. Yeah, when you go to bar, it is to ease your tension. When you are tensed up, you decide, okay, let me go to bar, or let me go to lounge, or let me take a time off from my abode, from my house. At times you go to an apartment just to cool off. You go to a hotel to get a room just to cool off. So for us as a people, that's not necessary. This is our problem. Is this feed the bottom resources? And I said it yesterday. There is a resource course, which is true, that nations that are blessed with mineral resources, they are prone to laziness to think and to be futuristic,
for this
and they are prone to violence.
Move to another conversation. We seem to have a different understanding of what relaxation is in Nigeria from the rest of the world, actually.
That is something that has to do with culture, way of life of people. Most times, do you realize that when we get vacation from our workplaces, that's when we work more in Nigeria. That's when you want to cover lost ground. That's where you now begin to look at your side hustles that will even take more of your time. So 365 days a year, you are stressed. The Oyibo man that designed vacation gave you that vacation, just like when you give long vacation between August and September to children. That is when you now say your child must attend lessons. When he's supposed to begin to actualize his dream of socialization. The same thing, elders. So Nigeria is not bereft of ideas on tourism. That's why today we have tourism ministry, and yet nothing is happening in that ministry.
Unfortunately. Oh, well, let's move away from that conversation, gentlemen, as we get into another. Well, this Yoruba, Igbo, others should go their separate ways if Nigeria isn't working as a country. And these are the words of Sunday Igboho. Let's examine this after this break. Join us again.
And on our second conversation this morning, the Pan-Yoruba Sociocultural and Sociopolitical Organization, Afenifere, has called on governments in the Southwest to beef up security in the region. The call followed reports of the influx of bandits into the Southwest. The body made a call on a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Comrade Jare Ajayi, following an alarm raised by Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde that bandits being dislodged in the northern part of Nigeria are camping in parts of Oyo State. Meanwhile, in another separate development, Yoruba Nation agitator Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Sunday Igboho, has lamented that there is no security in Nigerian airports, justifying why the country should break up. Igboho disclosed this in a video shared on Thursday, where he was spotted at a UK airport. According to him, persistent insecurity is why the Igbos, Yoruba, Hausa, and other ethnicities in Nigeria should go their separate ways. This is also coming in the same moment where former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, has expressed worry over frequent occurrence of crimes, especially kidnapping in the country today. Peter Obi said that no one is currently spared from the dangerous wind of many kidnappings and killing blowing through many parts of the nation today. We have with us still in the studio as Barrister Asim Adams, who is a social and political commentator, analyst, and beside him is Mr. Dele Fanimo, a seasoned reporter and VOP TV in-house analyst. And joining us still from Benin Station is Comrade Destiny Nebulele, and we'll also be going to our Abuja station. We'll have a correspondent, Chuka Adewale Chukwudile, also to participate in today's show. Now, let me bring you back to the studio. I would like to start off with you now, Mr. Fanimo. This call is coming from Seyi Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, saying that bandits that were dislodged in the northern part of the country. Recall that during last week, Boko Haram terrorists launched an attack. First was on the military base. They killed some persons there. Second was on the Joint Task Force base too. And we heard yesterday that they also attacked a police station in Borno, killing some people and also, moving away with some arms and ammunition. Now that Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde is crying out, saying that those that were being dislodged in the north find their way somewhere in Oyo State and they are camping there. And this is making Afenifere to say or to ask governors of the Southwest to beef up security in the nation. Even when someone like Peter Obi have come up to say that if insecurity persists in the nation, no one will be safe. What do you really have to say about this? And how are we going to stop this issue of insecurity? It's been there. We've been talking about this. Every time we come on the table, we'll talk about it. We go through the national dailies, we're talking about insecurity and all that. How do we even curb this whole thing?
Well, we have sadly come into terms with insecurity situation that we find ourselves in the country. And that calls for action by state actors and then the communities. Honestly, nobody will want to live in an atmosphere of insecurity. And so the apprehension of Afenifere, Peter Obi, and Sunday Igboho is right. Now, let me begin to talk about it specifically. This supposed influx of bandits from the northwest down to the southwest. If you understand the geography of your state, Igboho's area, Sunday Igboho's area, that's Igbeti, Igboho, Shaki, and all that. They are very close to the north. So it is expected that if they want a natural place where they will have a safe haven, they are likely to come into that place. And we have a high preponderance of Fulani in that area, who rear their cattle around that axis. But one good thing that I want to tell you is that Amotekun has been very, very effective in that regard. I may not have to tell you exactly what has gone underground. You see, the advantage here is we don't make noises over security. And security is not something that should be debated in an open air like this. You go into it, do your intel, and then move around and ensure that you tame these people. Amotekun operates within the forest and not in the town. If you see an Amotekun in a city center, 100 is in the forest doing their work daily to secure these places. And I understand their exploit. You recall that when Sunday Igboho went to Igbeti to dislodge some terrorists, he went with camera, he went with so many people and all that. Yoruba people frowned at it because it is wrong. And this particular incident, I can assure you, it will be taken care of without any mention of it in the media. Okay.
The way the governor is crying out already.
He has cried out. It's for him to cry out.
Do you think it is now a thing that should be done, shredded in secrecy, for the governor to come up to talk about it? The governor
should attach press crew to Amotekun when they are doing their business.
Okay, I like the fact that you have talked about the exploits of Amotekun and that they are up to the challenge.
Yes.
They are rising to the challenge. Do you think that Amotekun is overwhelmed for the governor to come to cry out? Because the governor is more like crying out, raising alarm. This is what is happening now. Do you think Amotekun is overwhelmed?
He's relying on security reports.
Exactly my point.
From private DSS.
Okay.
And he has every right to attract attention to this influx.
So does it look like he's overwhelmed?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So he's just, is it a political thing? Is he just crying out to make political
What I'm saying is, he's not overwhelmed. Okay. Because he could, for instance,
if he's not overwhelmed and he's raising an alarm, if he's not overwhelmed and he's raising an alarm.
When you say somebody is overwhelmed, that is at the verge of surrendering.
That is what he has done.
No.
This is what is happening.
No. You can draw attention to an intruder into your house. So as soon as you draw that, you should draw attention to an intruder that comes into your house, that barges into your house. Then you fold your hands.
Sorry, hold on. This is an intruder that you have been supposedly dealing with. And all of a sudden, exploits now. In pushing back,
you said that Motoku doesn't ring bell over their activities, in
These
that
bandits
region.
are different
They've been cramping them and all that. Now that they are coming out to talk about it.
assailing on your state, and they have reduced
all of
their
them
activities.
in the realm of insecurity.
When you say insecurity, you have to separate some of these things.
Should
you are
we-
saying that he has been playing around with these people. There was never a time bandits came.
I didn't say. You said Amoteku is living up to their challenge.
Expectation, showing
Yes, because what assailed them at a point were herders that were carrying guns. And they have been able to take those herders. Now they have bandits. So they have to also re-strategize and move in to check them.
Amoteku is overwhelmed.
Have I said it here?
I'm asking you.
They are not overwhelmed.
All right then, thank you very much. Barrister Asim, let me bring you into this conversation. Barrister Asim, Southerners, should we be worried about the influx of terrorist bandits from the northwest to the southwest? I mean, talking about the south generally, because if southwest, it's overrun, the next place, is southeast, south-south. Should we be concerned? Should it be concerning to us?
It should be concerning to us as citizens, and should be more concerning to government or governors as those in power. You know why I'm saying this? The governor is crying out, but he has failed to realize that if it were to be in a normal democracy where the constitution of the country, is being executed, he should resign, or maybe he should step down. It means that he has been overwhelmed and he could not perform the constitutional role that is placed on his shoulders as a governor of a state. I have advocated that people who are aspiring to govern local government, state, federal, from the next cycle of elections should go to chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution, even though we are saying that the 1999 Constitution is filled of landmines and it's not a complete document. But there are sections that are very, very imperative and vital for good governance. For instance, Section 14 sub 2b of the 1999 Constitution placed squarely the role of security and welfare on the shoulders of the local government chairman, the governor, the president of Nigeria. He said that if you are forming a government, or for you to even come out to say you want to contest for an election, know that if you win that election, this is what you are to do. So you have known your duties before you even got to that office. So security and welfare, that is what he says, that it should be uppermost. And that is the reason why you are coming to government and governance. You cannot sit in Agodi, the government house in Agodi, or sit in the government house in Lagos, sit in the government house in Benin, sit in the government house in River State, and you open your wide mouth and begin to cry that security have overwhelmed you. You have failed. Because that particular section that says that should be the most important thing while you are coming to government. How come now that you cannot do anything? Is it me that is not a government that wants or I should go and protect myself? In my own little estate where I live, I pay for security. Government is supposed to, provide security for all of us, but I pay for it. Now, if they are not doing their work well in the estate, as a citizen, like Gontagra said, I have to open my mouth wide and talk to them. I tell them, change the CSO of this estate. Because yesterday, robbers invaded this estate. And immediately, we change the CSO. So if the governor, who is called Chief Security Officer, you collect security votes, and you are coming out again to tell us that this is what is happening, is shocking and very disturbing. So, I am of the view that they have to do this and let the governor fine-tune things and the worker security this thing
I
there.
wanted you to land on your thoughts.
Okay.
But I'm going to stay with you on this one. Is it fair? Is it really fair to blame the governors, to say the governors have failed? I'm coming, please. Is it fair to say the governor has failed because he's reacting to an incursion of terrorists into his area? I mean, we've seen when Samuel Otom was the governor of, he also cried out a lot of times. And we know that the system is such that, can the governors truly, let me make it into a question, can the governors truly say they are the chief security officers of their states, seeing that they don't exactly issue out directives to the police force?
Yes, they are chief security officers of their
state. On paper.
Not on paper. That is why they pay them security votes every month. Which governor has rejected the 300 million that is given to you or more? Because I heard they have increased to 500 to 700 million now. Have you rejected, say, no, I don't want the money because on paper, I'm just the CSO. Please don't pay. None of them have rejected it. The second one is this. I am not saying that the governor, should just go like, no. What effort have you made? Issue of security, like my colleague said here, is not something you come out to discuss in the open. What we should be saying is that the governor, in a joint task force with the federal government or any other Motekwo, as they call them, they have neutralized, bandits who are, infiltrating and coming to the state. To say, these people were neutralized by the fact that they came in from wherever and they are disturbing the peace of my state. They will begin to clap for you. But when you raise this red flags for me now, I'll be ready to travel to your state or your state right now. Because if the governor can cry, it means that me as a normal, ordinary citizen, I cannot even do anything about security.
In that light, is it okay to now say that the federal government itself has failed?
All of them, that's what I'm saying. Both the local government chairman of all the local governments in our state, the governor of the state, the president of the nation, they have all failed us security-wise. Why am I saying this? And I embellished and did some adumbrations on this to say that Section 14 sub 2B places on their shoulder squarely. Section 14 sub 2B places on their shoulder squarely to secure me, secure Nigerians. Our lives are properties. How you go about that is none of my business. What I want to know is that the area is secured and I can move freely as a Nigerian citizen. Not be able to come and tell me you are scaring me. You are even scaring me right now. I don't think a right-thinking American president or even governor in one of the states of America will come out and say bandits has infiltrated one of the states, maybe like Texas, and now we are helpless. I mean, they'll tell him to resign immediately and let the man who can tackle issue of security come into that particular position. All right, because it is a constitutional provision and mandate. Okay, so once you cannot do that, it means that you have failed. That's what I'm talking about. So I don't know what else to say about that.
Let's get another guest from the join the conversation. Now, Comrade Destiny and Nabulele. Some time ago, Samuel Otham of Benue State also cried out about how people are encroaching into his state. And then before you know what is happening, there was a massacre. And then the president of Nigeria made a statement to that regard. If it is about the farmer-headed clashes, find a way to accommodate them. Let's leave us one. Isn't it scary that just, weeks after the issue of Sharia court establishment in Oyo State was cramped down, put on hold, if I'm to say that, we're having bandits or terrorists now moving into Oyo State? Are we seeing another part of, more like religious cleansing happening in the West?
Quickly say this, and to align with my lawyer friend at the studio there, I think he has said it all. The primary, or rather constitutional role of any elected person as executive is the welfare and the security of its people. And as we speak very justly in this country, those two components, those elected, those executives, they failed us in those two components. That's to tell you that from what he has said and from what all of us have agreed, that from the president to the governor and to the local government, they have failed us. In an ideal society, in senior client, those persons are not ought to be within the perimeters of governance in any sane society. You see, let me quickly say this. I had a very terrible experience when I was coming from France, to be very precise, en route Ethiopia. Let me tell you something. When we got to Ethiopia, a certain numbers of persons joined us in the aircraft bound to Nigeria. When we got to Abuja airport, these persons I'm saying, they were without passport of any nationality. All they had was just ticket. And they came down with us. And they were at the airport until a certain person came to show them the way out of the airport without any valid identity. I saw it, I experienced it. So when Igboho said that there are no security, indeed, not as if there are no security, that they've compromised. They've compromised. And the most sad thing is this. All those echelon, those senior officers in our security agencies, what they are concerned with now is politics. They are not concerned with their constitutional role of policing and providing us with security. They are not. That's not those that are close to retirement. They are not bothered about securing lives and properties of this country. They are preparing. They're after retirement. Are they going to get governor in their own district? Are they going to align with the president? Are they going to align with the governor in their state? Are they going to do, or are they going to go to Senate? Are they going to go to House of Rep? That's what they are concerned with now. What they are doing there is networking with politicians. It's networking. That's the gospel truth. And
now we need to touch base with our Abuja studio where we have Chukwuka Adewale Chukwudile. Now, Chuka, we hear that there's an influx of terrorist bandits displaced in the northwest into Oyo State, and we presume that they will also pass through Abuja into part of southwest. What's the feel of insecurity in Abuja? Can you help us understand how the security situation in Abuja with regard to acts of terrorism and pockets of, like the other time there was a bomb blast somewhere in Abuja. Is there any other incident that looks like it's terror related in Abuja? Quick one, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chukuma. To my perspective, I think it's more like the calm before the storm kind of situation, because you see Abuja residents moving about freely, but moving about freely, quote unquote, in this that, yeah, you know that, okay, you don't know what to expect, and then, but the good thing is, because this is the seat of power, this is where the president is, there are lots of security checks at every in and out of the city. So relatively, I think that one is fair enough. But talks of down south to your states, it has been a long time coming. It's been, I grew up in Ilorin, which is just a neighboring town to Ogbomoso, which is neighboring state to Kwara State rather, and you see lots of people from a particular section of the country, who are known for this for banditry and the rest. You see them a lot in the west, in Oyo State, particularly. You begin to wonder what is the attraction to Oyo State for these people. What is the attraction? Why are they so common? And so for the governor to be crying out at this point, I think he has very valid reasons to cry out just before things go out of hand. So yeah, I feel security is not yet a done case in Nigeria. We still have a long way to go, and hopefully we can cross that Rubicon pretty soon.
Can we have your concluding thoughts on the two topics that we treated this morning? Quick one, like 1 minute, if you can.
Okay, yeah. So I feel based on the first topic about talking about the landmark, the demolition of landmark. I think at this point in time, there's no use crying over spilled milk. What should be done at this point is for the federal government to compensate the landmark and other existing properties that were on that stretch of the road. It's like I said, no use crying over spilled milk. That is gone. Let's move. Let's look for a way forward. Also, in the case of security, I believe the federal government should do better. They should put more effort into securing the lives of properties of Nigerians. But one question a lot of Nigerians are, one thing a lot of Nigerians are skeptical about is, it seems like the government is complicit in this insecurity issue. It looks that way because for all intents and purposes, once again, it just seems like what because you cannot, we cannot seem to defeat these guys or put these guys in check. It just seems like they collude. There seems to be like a collusion between the government and this. It's all well, but that's all I can say for now. But I feel they can do better.
It's like it's an ongoing conversation. We'll try to find out the main reason behind all of this. Comrade Nabulele, please, can we have your concluding thoughts on the two topics that we talked about? Quick one minute if you can.
Let me quickly say the landmarks fellow, they just try to approach the court for proper compensation and to again appeal to the Nigerian government to encourage traders and investors in this country before looking outside. I also they should look outside. Very safe and a sincere approach in encouraging your local producers. And for security, let me quickly say this. Actually, our governor truly the chief security officer, because I've had in my state at a time when the then governor trying to dish out orders, and you hear them telling God take orders from governor. It's as sad as that. And again, we need to ask ourselves as a Nigerian, what type of presidential system are we running? Is it truly a presidential system? I beg to differ, because even me, I'm confused. It's not that it's confusing me, but I'm confused as a person. What type of system are we running? What type of government are we running? Because if we're to be a true federalism...
No, it's confusing you, but you're not confused. Thank you very much. Let's bring it back to the studio here, where we have Mr. Dele Fanimo. Dele, can we have your quick thoughts, please? Reaction,
well,
your concluding
the
thoughts.
landmark issue, I want to say that government should be circumspect in dealing with issues like this, because at the heart of it is FDI and economic development through tourism. And so they should also pay compensation to this man that is assailed by the demolition. On security, I think state tax talks should reduce their flippancy in discussing security issues in the media. What we want is results, not crying out. How can, for instance, a old national security advisor coming on air, talking to the media that some people are selling guns, arms to bandits? Is that not a failure on his part that he should even leave the office immediately?
All right.
So people should work on the ground on matters of security.
All right, thanks very much. Barrister Asim, quick one, sir. Your concluding thought.
My concluding thought today is, you see, people talk about landmark and the acquisition. They talk about insecurity, security, governance or whatever. That goes to the root reasons why we have been clamoring that the 1999 Constitution is a landmine, filled with so many landmines. Okay. Section 2, I go to Section 10 that talks about secularity, but you have Sharia everywhere. I also go to Section 14 sub 2B. You can't provide security, you can't do good governance and welfare. I also go to Section 55. These are areas that should be amended. Why do we have insecurity today? Because the particular people or the Constitution has given vent and powers to these inadequacies where you talk about state police. You say you cannot even establish state police, as case may be. So amend the Constitution to go into the... And finally, I'm so sorry, compensation.
Okay.
This land, how can you say you can acquire my land and you pay me whatever you like? One day they will acquire Dangote refinery and say it's they're going to do one express road there.
All right. Then.
Forget about this. Going to employ people. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you.
That's it on the show. We've been speaking with 4 wonderful gentlemen. We had in the studio Mr. Dele Fanimo. Mr. Dele Fanimo is a seasoned reporter and VOP in-house analyst. We also had in the studio Barrister Asim Adam. He's a political analyst and social commentator. We were joined from our Benin studio by Comrade Destiny Enabulele is a political analyst and also an activist. We also had Chukwuka Adewale Chukwudile, who joined us from Abuja. Oh well, on behalf of the backroom staff and my colleagues here, I am Chukwuma Okoro. Moses?
Well, join us again at 9 o'clock for newspaper review. Bye for now.